This is Dusia. She has become a Ukrainian army cat, a battle cat as someone described them. Here she is hunting, or being chased by, one of the soldiers' remote-controlled cars in an abandoned cottage that was being used as a company headquarters. Having fled Russian-occupied territory, their original owners left Dusia with an animal shelter in central Ukraine. It was there that she was found and adopted by Thunder Company of the 41st Brigade. The unit was in the process of being rebuilt away from the front line, having suffered catastrophic casualties in the defense of Bakhmut. Dusia had lost her home. The soldiers had lost the majority of their comrades. Last autumn, Dusia went with them to the Kupiansk front line in Kharkiv, which is where we first met her. Here's Dusia in her unit's new location in the Chasiv Yar sector. She's not allowed outside because she's unfamiliar with the area, and a couple of days ago she did get outside and she was missing for 2 days, which very much upset Thunder Company. But anyway, she's back here and she's grounded for the moment, but seems to be very happy. She is very happy.
War destroys animals' lives just as it destroys people's lives. Next to you is a living being that reminds you of a peaceful life, that does not talk to you about the war. Dusia is always looking for something and lives a peaceful life. She needs care, affection, and constant feeding, as if there is no war. Sometimes it allows you to forget about the war, about stress. Many units have cats and dogs. They are our medicine and our joy. Unlike people, they are not treacherous, and they are incapable of betrayal.
A cat called Matvey plays a similarly therapeutic role for the soldiers of the separate presidential brigade in their trenches and dugouts on the southern Donetsk front.
Справляется зі своєю роботою психолога?
Да, он на довольствии сидит у нас. Тоже график чергування у него свой. Так реально чувствуешь, когда плохо, приходит на тебя, ложится и такой начинает там шести, вот ему успокаивать.
Army cats are not usually to be found around firing positions, except those which hang out with the drone pilots and artillerymen who launch their weapons from a little behind the front line. This cat, which belongs to an Aero Scout unit of the Border Guards, is taking rather too close an interest in the launch of a Mavic drone.
Russian Scott.
In a nearby cottage, Behemoth prefers the warmth of indoors. It's -15 outside. You can perhaps see how his presence might remind those combat soldiers of their distant homes. And this somewhat surreal Ukrainian video clip appears to show a cat sitting on the lap of an FPV drone pilot as he controls one of the weapons that now dominate the battlefield. The juxtaposition of cozy domesticity and deadly weaponry is a little unsettling. Army cats are reminders of home, but they're also expected to do their own killing. In winter, frontline trenches and dugouts are often infested with rodents. We came across Pixel and Koopy in an artillery dugout deep in the Kupiansk forest. Pixel was a stray kitten when she was adopted by these 41st Brigade gunners. She lives alongside their self-propelled howitzers, but has not got used to the sound of shellfire. Koopy, seen here sharpening his claws on the dugout wall, is a champion mouser. The soldiers call him the Terminator. All these former domestic pets, and thousands like them, are emblematic of the war-shattered homes and communities that exist across large swathes of Ukraine, the legacy of Putin's invasion. In peacetime, Ukraine was a nation of pet owners, particularly cats. An estimated 9 million felines were kept by a population of less than 50 million humans. A common sight for male cameraman Jamie Wiseman and me during the refugee exodus in 2022 was the cats and small dogs being carried in travelling boxes, or even on shoulders among the millions of citizens who fled the fighting. This is Charlie McGrath, a former British Army officer who is driving medical supplies from the UK to Ukraine. On this trip, alongside wheelchairs and other hospital equipment. His van will be carrying large quantities of dog and cat food to be distributed by volunteers in frontline areas. Some will be delivered to the Ukrainian army. Inevitably, in the panic, many pets were left behind in frontline areas, or had to fend for themselves when their stay-behind owners were wounded, killed, or removed by the Russian occupation forces. But some of these red zone animals have since been adopted by or attached themselves to frontline Ukrainian army units. Visit a forward or a second-line army position, and you will invariably find it has at least one resident cat or dog, which the soldiers consider to be an integral part of the unit. For thousands of years, man has exploited animals for warfare, to supply his armies, kill his enemies, or find hidden dangers. Today, in frontline Ukraine, the relationship between military man and beast is a little different. It's no longer focused on killing the enemy, but on mutual comfort, support, and as we shall see, the healing of psychological trauma. It allows both soldiers and animals to forget, for a little while at least, that they are in a kind of hell, a man-made hell.
Не бійся, не бійся.
Rijik is being comforted by a machine gunner from the Kraken Special Forces unit. The Ginger Tom is scared of the sounds of nearby battle. The soldier pretends not to be. This is Murka, a timid little cat who lost one of her legs to Russian artillery fire. She still won't allow herself to be petted by the soldiers who tended her wounds and saved her life. Being unable to hunt, she is largely dependent on them for food. But not every abandoned pet that has been adopted by the Ukrainian military is a feline. Bim was another traumatized stray, rescued by 56 Brigade soldiers on the Sloviansk sector.
Not too big dog, but it's very strong dog.
Bim is very nervous and only trusts humans who wear uniform, the soldiers tell us. Certainly he shies away from us. Bim's quite a different dog from Dusia, an abandoned Rottweiler who was adopted by the Brigade's Mariupol Cossacks. Like the 41st Brigade, they had sustained dreadful casualties. We met Dusia on the Sloviansk front in January. Dusia was very friendly to us strangers, and the soldiers clearly loved her. She was their mascot. But then recently, and to their consternation, she vanished. Kos, the company commander, talked to us about their relationship with stray animals and the impact of Dusia's loss.
We feed and often try to evacuate such animals from the front lines, just to save their lives. Dusia stayed with us for almost a year. She knew every soldier in our unit, and every soldier knew Dusia. And she was a very friendly and gentle dog who was a comfort to everyone in this unit. But she disappeared, literally dissolved in the air one evening, around 8 p.m. when it got dark. We saw her playing with another dog, and then she was gone. Several squads of my men searched for her relentlessly, but she simply vanished into thin air.
Loki.
And not every military pet is a former domestic animal. This is Loki, an orphan fox cub found in the border forests of northern Kharkiv by the Kraken Special Forces. The deep connection and psychologically beneficial relationship between frontline soldiers and animals has been recognized by Ukraine's medical establishment. Many of the veterans have simply lost faith in humanity. They trust creatures more than humans. Which is how we came to meet Boss, and a number of other unexpected creatures donated by Kyiv Zoo. This is Boss, a 5-year-old Siberian Persian cross. He's the kind of exotic creature you might see on a fashion shoot. In fact, he's part of a medical unit that is helping Ukrainian soldiers recover from trauma. We were invited to a military hospital in the capital that has helped several hundred soldiers suffering from PTSD and other psychological conditions since the invasion. Daria is a social worker at the hospital's rehabilitation unit.
We use zootherapy and we use speaking with cats because it's helping our defenders to relax, and it make depression low. Okay, and we can speak with them better because not always they want to speak.
We meet 3 seriously wounded veterans who have undergone zoo therapy. This is Roman. His leg was shattered by Russian machine gun fire in August 2022. Sasha lost both his legs to an explosion in the Donbass. Andrei was a furniture designer in Kyiv before he joined up and was badly wounded. Roman recalls an incident which demonstrated the close relationship between a military unit and its animals.
A buddy had a situation when they forgot a cat at one frontline position. They covered 160 kilometers to return to pick up the cat. It was actually like a combat mission to get that cat back. They met a cat at the front lines, and in the end, they became a family. Any animal on the territory of this state is by default better than a living Russian. Even a viper, even a lizard. We even love our mosquitoes more than Russians.
The war has also affected the ability or desire of veterans to interact with their fellow Ukrainians, he says.
The war fundamentally changed the outlook of many people like me. I have observed this in boys, and in the same way, I myself would sooner serve a piece of pie or some meat to a stray dog than communicate with a stranger. Basically, all the guys understand what they're fighting for. But with civilians, we have already become different. There are few topics for conversation with civilians. Those who are not involved in this war and simply live a civilian life. Likewise, I met with friends who were not soldiers, and there was nothing to talk about with them. For some, there was a war, and for others, there was no war. But as soon as you grow sad, as soon as you give up, that's the end.
Ці товариші вам допомагають цьому?
Звісно. Я ж тебе люблю, морда ти махнаста.